Hello everyone, this is Pal Ponder on Weather. In this update, we've got flood watches that are impacting over 80 million people. Plus, we have 3 tropical systems that we're going to be tracking. Welcome back everyone. How you doing? Happy Labor Day out there. Hope everyone had a fabulous weekend and enjoying their Labor Day. Hope everyone is spending time with their families. I do appreciate all my followers out there and the new followers. So if you do like detailed weather breakdowns on North America and the tropics, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and notification bell to get all my daily updates to keep you ahead of the storm. So let's really expand the view this morning and take a look at the overall big picture out there, because we have a lot happening. First, let me point you in the direction well out here to the open waters of the Atlantic. That's where we like these systems. That is actually Hurricane Danielle, and that's expected to continue to move off into the open waters. Plus, we have newly developed Tropical Storm Earl that's supposed to rapidly intensify into a hurricane. But we also have a really good concerning storm down here, which is now Tropical Storm K, that is really supposed to be rapidly intensifying into possibly a major hurricane, while we have the remnants of Tropical Storm Javier, and that along with the kind of stalled frontal boundary right along the coast of Texas into the Ohio Valley, much of the southeast and the northeast, as well as the mid-Atlantic. Wow, they got numerous flash flood watches unfolding, and we could be looking at a lot of rainfall today and tomorrow. So that's definitely very concerning with this overall setup. So here, let's break this down for you. Out west, it's just all about the heat, unfortunately, as record heat just continues with numerous heat advisories, excessive heat warnings and watches out there. But all eyes are well out here into the portions of the Ohio Valley as well as the mid-Atlantic. You can see over 80 million people are going to be impacted from these flood watches. That encompasses portions of Alabama, talking portions of Georgia. That place in northwestern Georgia yesterday almost had a foot of rain. So this is serious stuff, guys. Back into the Tennessee Valley, portions of Kentucky, the Ohio, back into West Virginia, even portions of the Carolinas, as well as Virginia, back into Pennsylvania, portions of New Jersey, back into New York City, into Connecticut, areas of Massachusetts, Rhode Island, off the Cape there. That actually spreads into portions of New Hampshire, even extends into Maine. So you can definitely see these areas are going to be, a wide range of areas are going to be impacted from this heavy rain event that's going to be unfolding today and into tomorrow. So that's why they do have those marginal to slight, even up to moderate risk. I know you guys have been in the drought up here, and you've been doing the rain dance, just like what happened last time Texas did the rain dance, and Dallas got over 9 inches of rain. So now it won't stop in those areas. And yeah, it's going to be falling too fast, too soon. And some of these areas could be looking at multiple inches of rain. Even some models are hinting at possibly 10 inches. And that's why they do have the moderate risk for excessive rainfall in place for a good chunk, and the slight risk for a good chunk of this area. So this is definitely very concerning, and that extends just into tomorrow as well. So this is a huge storm going to be impacting multiple states with very intense heavy rainfall, and flash flooding is a huge concern, headed in not only today, but actually going into tomorrow as well. So it's a 2-day event, guys. We could be looking at some possibly serious flooding in some isolated spots. So definitely be on high alert, and do not drive across a roadway that you can't see the bottom in. It's not worth it, okay? So let's break this thing down for you, because what's concerning is these water content values. That's, the other day, yesterday, we had those flash flood emergencies just in about a 6-hour time frame. We're talking this area in northwest Georgia picked up 6 to 10 inches, and it ended up with almost a foot of rain, only because these water content values are extraordinarily high for this time of year. We're talking 2 inches, even upwards to 3 inches per hour. So that basically gives you an idea. The atmosphere, if the perfect alignment really sets up, we could be looking at a 3-inch rainfall rate. That is some serious stuff, especially up here in the Northeast. This area can only handle about 1 inch of rainfall in an hour. They just don't have the drainage systems up here. So it's very concerning that we are seeing this kind of intense setup could potentially unfold with these training these training rainfall events that basically go over the same exact areas over a period of time. And if we look at some of these model aspects, hinting at as far as the East Coast goes, yeah, definitely very concerning over the next, 48 to 72 hours. So with some of these areas, multiple inches of rain in parts of the Tennessee Valley through Ohio. But yeah, once you get up here where they do have that slight risk and the moderate risk in place and a good chunk of portions of the Northeast, definitely concerning. Zooming in of 4, 6, 8 inches of rainfall is definitely not out of the question. And if we definitely zoom in into a good chunk of the Northeast, wow, all those purple areas, right? This is all the purple areas. Look at that, folks, 10 inches. This is some serious stuff. Could be looking at some very heavy rainfall, torrential rainfall, if not intense rainfall at times, with those rainfall rates of 2 upwards to almost 3 inches an hour. So flooding is definitely a huge concern up here while the area has just been so desperately dry. And what happens is when the ground is so dry like that, it's not going to be able to drain as quickly as it normally would. That's what happens in the deserts. That's why they have those flash floodings rise quickly. And unfortunately, that could happen. And that's basically what happened in the Dallas event. It just came too much after that 2-month hiatus of no rain whatsoever. And then boom, you dump 9 inches on that atmosphere. It was very difficult to soak in the ground. And it took a lot longer than it normally would. And that way, the flooding event was more intense than it probably should have been if the ground was even somewhat saturated. So let's take a look at out here, because this is actually weird, right? I mean, we talk about history repeating themselves. We talk about, weather sometimes cycles. You have cycles of weather. Look at this. I thought this was actually pretty interesting. We've got Danielle out here, which is Hurricane Danielle. And then we also have Tropical Storm Earl. Let's go back to 2010, right? 2010, that was 12 years ago. Look at this. Almost the exact same. We're talking about same name and same location. All right. Now, granted, yeah, if the storm does not retire, it repeats itself every 6 years. So back in 2010, this was August 30th, 2010 here, we had literally almost an identical type setup with these same name storms in the same placement. So that's definitely weird that it's unfolding again, 12 years later. So let's zoom into Danielle. So that was our first hurricane of the season. And luckily that is actually moving well away out into the open waters. It actually could impact portions of Western Europe here. But out here into Earl, we do have that formidable tropical storm. It's expected to lift north and then get northwestward. It's also expected to be our second named hurricane of the season, if not almost a major hurricane. By the time we get into Friday, it's expected to be maxing out about 120 miles an hour. And there is Bermuda there that it could have some impacts from this storm, as the wind field looks to be pretty expansive with this particular storm. But luckily with both of these are more or less safely moving out into the open waters and not going towards the United States. So yes, there is Danielle again, safely moving out into the open waters. And then if we zoom into Earl, kind of the same deal. You can see the turn maxing out about 120 miles an hour. So here's the latest ensemble member guidance. We don't have 100% congruency. There are some trying to hint it still may shift out to the East Coast, but that's highly unlikely would happen, because most of the guidance has to safely move it out into the open waters. But down here we've bad in the down in the Pacific here, it's been very active, right? Storm after storm after storm. And again, we could be looking at more low pressure trying to form in the southern Gulf of Mexico, trying to lift up again towards basically Louisiana and Florida. So we'll be looking out for that. There are actually hints. The stalled floodal boundary tries to lower some pressures along the Gulf here and could spin up a low pressure by the time we get into Thursday and Friday time frame. But between now and then, it is all about the heat, folks, out west. All that record temperatures that are unfolded the past couple of days, we just adding to those. In fact, we had to come up with another color on the map because Not too many times the temperatures go above 115 degrees, but that's what's happening as we get into the day on tomorrow in California. Look at that, Sacramento, 116 degrees, folks. That is some intense stuff, and that's why numerous records are unfolding. Not just, September monthly records. We're talking about like all-time records out here. So this is dangerous, serious stuff with all that record heat in place. These are just some of the record heats that just unfolded yesterday, right? And so we'll be adding to these on a daily basis. So all these areas in orange shaded area, that basically ties the daily record for the day. But once you get down into the magenta colors, that breaks the monthly record, and some of these actually break the all-time record. So there's definitely areas, major cities, rewriting the record books out there with this intense heat wave that's unfolding this week and goes into today, tomorrow, and into Wednesday. But now let's go head south and into the Eastern Pacific, because this is Tropical Storm K, and man, look at this. This is a concerning look on those cold cloud tops. It's got perfect breath around it. This is a very intensifying, rapidly developing hurricane that's going to be unfolding over the next coming days. So let's zoom into this with Tropical Storm K right here off the coast of the Eastern Pacific. This is supposed to be continuing westbound, but it's going to be lifting northwest. It's actually supposed to be a hurricane by the time we get in, even into later today, if not early in the overnight hours, but then rapidly intensify to a potential very strong hurricane, if not a major hurricane. And look, it gets dangerously close to Cabo San Lucas here, right around into the early morning hours on Thursday, but it remains a hurricane. It actually could make landfall, potentially, getting really close to the Baja of California. But look at the track, guys. This is a very unusual track that's continuing to lift northwest. And where's it going? It's actually dumping heavy rain over the Baja of California and actually spreading much, needed rain into portions of southern California here, as the remnants will be starting to die off from this storm by then. But if we zoom into the latest icon model, it's got hinting at that landfall potentially on Thursday of this upcoming storm. So yeah, we could be looking at a hurricane landfall, if not a major hurricane landfall, off the coast of the Baja of California. But there's the low pressure the icon is hinting at with this stalled frontal boundary right along the coast. We always have to be concerned about this during tropical season. We're talking about peak week. This is peak week in hurricane season, right? So that's why we've got 3 named storms, and we could be looking at possibly a 4th here with this system trying to develop and to try to get its act together. Storm or not, it's going to be adding to those heavier rain totals. So, but let's zoom out, and as we continue to move on into Friday, going into Saturday timeframe, Tropical Storm K will be lifting for northwest, still a bona fide 992 low pressure center, dumping its heavier rains and spreading it into portions of California where they desperately need the rainfall. And there's the low pressure hinting at it could sneak into getting portions of the Florida Panhandle. And if we zoom out to latest European guidance on the overall big view, you can see what's happening here. There's the low pressure off the Baja of California. There is, again, even the European. So we're seeing the icon and the European hinting at we could be looking at a low pressure trying to form off the coast of New Orleans, Mobile, the Florida Panhandle somewhere around Thursday and Friday timeframe. At the same time, we've got this inverted trough digging in after a zonal pattern unfolding for much of the week. We finally have an inverted trough going to be digging in up here, bringing some instability. And then if we expand the view going into on the 500 millibar, kind of highlights that same thing. There's the area low pressure down off the western of the Gulf of Mexico. There's the Tropical Storm K, and then we have that inverted trough here, while the heat is still locked over the west, but that's going to be letting go over time, because eventually this area of low pressure will be lifting further north and impacting portions of the Ohio Valley by then. And then finally, Alaska gives up some of its cool weather and places it over the West Coast, but that won't be until another week from now. So they'll be definitely looking out for that. So hey, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video. Definitely leave your comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Catch the latest update where I protect you before and after the storm.